Hi everyone, if you're an existing subscriber, hello and welcome back. If you're new to my channel, hello, welcome, and why not hit subscribe now? I'm your host Alicia Victoria Keane, and I've been interviewing inspirational people and businesses to find out how and why they inspire others. This week I interviewed cancer survivor and bodyguard Alfred Samuels. Here's how it went. Welcome to the channel. To begin with, if you could just introduce who are you and what do you do?
Hi Alicia, my name's Alfred Samuels, affectionately known to most people as Alf Samuels. For over 30 years, I was engaged primarily in the close protection side of things. I also have a wealth of experience in venue security because that's kind of where I started. And then obviously I moved my way up. Worked with many major A-list artists over the years. Sade, Beyonce, Kelly Rowland, Bob Dylan, Oasis, Rod Stewart, Mariah Carey, Harrison Ford, Patsy Kensit, the list goes on. But I've enjoyed it, and it's been an experience extensively throughout the world, not only once, many times, and that in itself has been a hell of a learning curve. With that on the side, I was engaged also with the corporate industry and also foreign military, police, in the Caribbean and Africa. So I had to think about where I've been. So I was engaged in training and in equipment procurement. So in between my times off, I would be working in that area of security.
Sounds like you've had some amazing experiences. Obviously, you've worked with loads of like well-known people and celebrities, but it actually started in Clubland on the doors. How did you then end up doing what you're doing or what you did?
Well, you're right. Clubland was where it all started back in 1976, 77. Yes, somewhere in that region. First store I ever worked was the well-known Global Village underneath the arches in Charing Cross. Quite a place. And I worked there for, a little while, probably a year or so I was there. And I moved around working at pubs and other clubs for a number of years. At the time, I was also involved in the Territorial Army. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I met a number of people who were engaged in the close protection side of security. Territorial Army is the reserve, the British Army reserves, should I put it that way, and most regiments have I abbreviated, that's my abbreviation, 10th Battalion Parachute Regiment, which were based out of Duke of York Barracks in Chelsea, mm-hmm. which is no longer there, I hasten to add. And I went on to do a few other things, but it was there that I met many good operatives, and it's there that I made the connections into sort of the close protection world, and it's there that I found myself moving away from Clubland into something a little bit notch better into the mainstream of the entertainment business on the security side. Um, I came under the tutorage of the legendary Jim Callahan. I owe him a lot. I can tell you that now. He was the ultimate Mr. Security for me.
So what made you decide to go down the close protection route as opposed to sticking with the bodyguarding on the doors?
Well, for me, it was less trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you would find yourself, working on the door, you worked as part of a team. I'm not saying the close protection, being part of a close protection team, you're not working as a team, but you find for many assignments that you could be the solo CP, being CP meaning close protection. And so you've got to think on your feet. It's a different world. It requires different training, different mentality. And for many, they can't hack it. I really classified myself more of a security strategist that devised and implemented a plan of action in relation to a client's safety and security. That's how I saw myself, and that's how I acted out in the close protection industry. It's a young man's game, and for many, you're over and done with by, say, 40, 45 years.
Oh, really?
Yep. Don't get me wrong, there are those that sort of hack it a little bit longer. But in reality, you're really over the top by then. It's relentless traveling. You're living out of a suitcase. You're eating unhealthily. Sleep deprivation. You're not doing the normal 9 to 5. And you are really in the thick of it when you are a solo CP operative. I'm not saying even as a team that the same doesn't apply, but as a team, you're working together. The budget's probably different, and you've got more going for you in terms of relief teams covering whilst you slept. That luxury didn't exist for me, especially in the entertainment business. The budget wasn't there, and therefore I had to devise other methods and other means by which to get the job done. So that really was how it went on the close protection side of things. And, I got through. There were some times when things got a little bit messy. There were times when, you wonder to yourself, what am I doing here? I could be in a nice warm bed with my missus. I could be playing with the kids, etc., etc. Instead, I'm 5,000 miles away. And I suppose within your mind, because it is about the mindset, you have to keep in mind that you're working with a client, and your mindset's got to be right. Your mind really shouldn't be thinking about anything else other than that client. Your family comes second. There are those who may disagree, but for me, the reality was, as a solo CP, the pressures on you are far more, absolutely far more. I'm not saying even as a CP in a team, the pressures aren't similar, but you're there to do a job.
Mm-hmm.
You're there to be paid a certain amount of money to turn around and risk your neck if need be, and that takes a special individual. On top of that, that takes a specially trained individual to walk that route in their life. And as I said, 40, 45, maybe 50. After that, really you're at the top, you're over the hill, as I see it.
What you were saying there actually leads quite nicely onto my next question. In films like the film The Bodyguard, you see the close protection officer, security, putting the principal's life before theirs. Is that the reality?
Well, the reality is that's what it should be. There's no ifs, there's no buts. That's what you're there for. You're not there to be their friend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're not there to make up the numbers. In terms of hangers oners. You're there to do a job. That job is to protect that person and to protect that person with your life if need be.
So how do you get to that mindset? How do you get to that mindset that your life's less important than the person who you're protecting? That doesn't seem like
Well,
an easy thing.
no, it's not an easy thing, but if you're trained right, um, you become that way inclined.
Okay.
Okay, and you'll find that within the military, they have that mindset. They have been trained a certain way, and it comes out clearly when they're operational, whether as military people or ex-squaddies out there now in the civvy world doing what they've got to do in the military. And for you as a civilian to fit in, you have to operate and be similar.
And is that possible? Is it possible for a civilian to fit in?
Of course, of course. And with the advent of the SIA, with the advent of the training that's now required to be a licensed CPO,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it is. And a lot of these courses are run by ex-squaddies, some civilians, and they know how this aspect of training needs to be brought into play. And make no bones about it, anybody that's running a team, any team leader
Mm-hmm.
who's worth his weight in gold will make sure that he's got the right people with him, the right people that are going to do the job and where necessary, put their necks on the line. I've been part of a team where all of a sudden we've had situations present themselves to us. We've done the advanced work on it. However, in doing the advanced work, we found out that we're coming up against it, and I mean really up against it. And a 4-man team all of a sudden became a 2-man team. And this is a very true story. And we knew then that we could not rely on 2 other individuals with what we were walking into. Fortunately, I'm here to tell that story as such. But at the time, it wasn't a nice feeling. It really wasn't. And I suppose what made it worse for me, the only other person I could rely on was my own brother, who was part of the 4-man team. So it was 2 brothers. And really, in my mind, I was adamant, clearly adamant. If you fall, we'll come back for you later. We have to get out of wherever we are, the situation we're in. We'll come back for you later. And that applied to me too. That's the reality of the close protection business.
That seems really scary. That seems a scary situation to be in. How do you find the courage to have that "we'll come back for you later" sort of?
It's not easy. Of course, it's not easy, and especially when it's your own brother. No. That's not an easy decision, but you have to do what you've got to do. Okay. There's no ifs or buts about it. That is what it is that presents itself to you. And your brother, you know, in fact, you kind of look at everybody as being your brother because we're brothers in arms. We work together. That's the comradeship that we have. But we all know the reality of what we're there to do. If we can drag you with us, fine. But 9 times out of 10, that ain't going to be what's on your mind. What's on your mind is the protection of the client, and if their family are there, the protection of them too. If you've fallen, you stay where you are until help can be brought to you later. That's close protection. That is the reality of it. As I said, we've experienced it, we've been through it. And for many of us, we're still around. Hey, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to have in your head that this is what you will do, right? These are the operational procedures that you're going to put into place. It may sound cold, but I'm not there to make friends.
How much is it about managing the client's expectations as well as just protecting them?
Ooh, I would say that a client will expect you to do what you need to do to protect them, whichever way possible, okay? Within reason, okay? Mm-hmm. Depends on who you're working with. There are some that think there are an element of CP officers that will flaunt the law. We're not there to flaunt the law. Mm-hmm. There are, some clients out there that will simply give you an instruction which breaks the law. The real professionals do not find themselves in that position. And having had a discussion with a client prior to an assignment, or they know the rules and regulations. And for us as operatives, we know the laws of the country that we're operating in. Mm-hmm. We do not flaunt them. We try to work with the relevant law enforcement agencies in that country. And for me, there are many occasions where I've had them on my team, because then it allows me to get things done easier. Mm-hmm. It also allows me to have on my team somebody that's a licensed firearm holder. And that's the way we get around maybe us not being able to be armed on that particular assignment. So, those are the things that, one would sort of try to sort of put across to a client so that they understand how well they are being protected. And the expectation is from their point of view would be, okay, yep, these guys know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Let them get on with it. But again, you always have sometimes maybe a PA or a manager that think they know better and want to sort of tell you how to do your job. And, sometimes you find yourselves having to tell them politely, no, that's not the way it goes. Of course, that leads to all sorts of different situations and arguments, etc., etc. But when you're running the job, you're running the job. Simple as that. Nobody else going to come in there and tell you how to run the job. Anybody's head that's got to be chopped, then let it be. And if it's me, then let it be mine. If I get it wrong, then let it be my mistake. Not that I listened to somebody else and allowed for a situation to occur that didn't have to occur.
Was there any time where you could have managed the customers or the client's expectations?
I would say no, because we always addressed what we were going to do. Mm-hmm. by putting into place the 7 Ps. Okay, 7 Ps is the golden rule in the close protection industry. My prior preparation and planning prevents piss pot performance. Okay, that's the golden rule. By putting that into place, you will address most of the things that are going to occur, and where possible, have your advanced security people advancing so that you're not walking into a situation that could be dangerous to you. I'm not saying that that was, but you had to prepare, you had to plan. I've always said to people, right, that without adhering to the 7 Ps, you're gonna fail.
Would you say that's relevant to everyday life, no matter what you're doing as well, the 7 Ps?
Of course, without a doubt, without a doubt. I'll carry that one to my grave with me, and I'll pass that on to my kids. You must plan out whatever you're going to do in life. Think it out, plan it out. Do not just rush in there, because if you rush into it, you're going to fail. So think about it, plan it, execute it. Okay. And at the end of it all, have your post-op. Okay. And post-op is basically where you look at, did I do everything right? What didn't I do right? And why didn't it work that way? And you'll find if you just put that as part of your plan in life, it will take you in a different direction. You'd be surprised. And as I said, these were the things that I learned along the way that made me become a professional, that allowed me to work with some of the biggest stars that this world has seen. And not just once, on many occasions, work with them. Everybody's different. And with that, you've just got to try and adapt to each and everyone's way of one how things should run for them. You've got your Bob Dylans of this world who've been around a long time, a very long time, and to be honest with you, they really know what security is about. Then you've got then you've got your maybe your much younger artists that are coming up and coming through now, but they've still not got the experience of Bob Dylan. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you've got the newbies, the ones that have just come out there, and they just don't have a clue, not a Scooby as we say. But it's just interesting to just watch and see that over a period of time, how people change, how they begin to understand. And all it takes actually is a scary moment. And all of a sudden they think, oh yes, this is why we've got security.
Right, definitely. I suppose that scary moment, it's like, oh, yeah, better listen to my security.
Exactly. I better listen to my security. But then if he's worth his weight in gold, he would have seen that situation and got them out of there way ahead of all of that. Then you have your post-mortem after that.
Now, alongside your security, you've also had your own personal struggles, and you've gone on to write a couple of books. Can you just, for viewers watching this or listening to this, just explain what your books are on?
Yeah, I certainly had my own struggles. In January 2012, I was diagnosed with stage 4 advanced metastatic prostate cancer. My prognosis was 6 months, and I can tell you it hits you like a ton of bricks, unexpectedly, unwantedly, untimely. You just prepared for it. You really aren't. I really had to go through a journey with the disease. And fortunately, I was able to get onto a clinical trials program. And the clinical trials program basically saved my life. And over a 6 month period, I watched when my PSA is prostate specific antigen. It's a means by which they measure your blood, the blood in your body, and it tells you whether or not you've got a high PSA, or everything's within region. Is within check. For a man of my age at the time when I was diagnosed, I was age 54 when I was diagnosed, and I was still operational. So it gives you an idea. I was still operational, and at age 54, my PSA reading should have read anywhere between 2 to 4. That is the reading that they say you should be between 2 and maximum 4. On presentation, my PSA was measured at 509. So you can imagine I really was in trouble, and I mean big time trouble. Hence the prognosis of 6 months. Mm-hmm. Well, yours truly battled away. And I mean, I battled like I've never battled in my life. Fortunately for me, I had a wonderful wife who sat through with me through the journey. And over a 6 month period, because I got onto this clinical trial program, my PSA reduced to less than 0.1. But it was not easy. Medications given had side effects. Mm-hmm. So I went through, there was just so much going on in my head and in my body that you change. If you take into account that the drugs that you're on will change you. Mm-hmm. Brain fog was one of the things. Fatigue was another thing. Mental anguish was another thing. Just looking at just those three alone, you can understand that somebody's going to change. The whole aspect of the journey changes you, because you then realize that everything that you've tried to do in your life, everything that you've tried to attain in your life, you ask yourself the question, was it really worth it? Mm-hmm. Was it really worth it to have done all the things that I did and give up family, give up doing the things that really make you, I think, stand out as an outstanding father? Mm-hmm. And I think with that in mind, you do ask yourself, some of those questions, but you know why you did it. You know that it wasn't just about, you as an individual. It was about trying to make yourself be somebody in the eyes of not only your children, but your family. But equally, for yourself. When you've moved on in life, when you've gone from the door to close protection to other things that I've done, that you've moved in life, and you say to yourself, great, I've done well. Cancer will change. Cancer changes everybody. There's nobody that cancer doesn't change. And any cancer patient that you talk to, they will tell you that it does change them. But I've always said it changes you to be a better person. And whilst I was going through my journey, I used to keep a diary. Within that diary, what I did is I kept a daily diary. So I would, lay it out. In the morning, took my tablets. In the afternoon, felt a little bit groggy, and I would actually write how I was feeling for that day. Come evening, took my next set of tablets. Okay, went to bed feeling however I felt, and for a number of months, I actually diaryized what was going on in my life. Fortunately for me, that diary became a book. And that book was called Invincibility in the Face of Prostate Cancer, coming out the other side. And it just breaks it down as to what I was going through in that journey. The pain, the anguish, the financial toxicity, all the things that you go through, in that journey. From a super fit guy to a guy that really couldn't even walk 20 yards without having to stop because I was out of breath. The I was when I say I was super fit, I was super fit. I could sprint. I was an excellent sprinter. Even up to the age of 54, I could still sprint. I remember working with a particular artist, and we still hold the record actually as the fastest get out of any gig at that particular venue. And I think it was in, New Orleans actually. And, they'd come off the stage and they just actually decided to test me it was a long corridor, and the coach was outside the corridor. It must have been a good 100 yards actually, and they just bolted. But they didn't realize I could run, so I was right next to them as we were running. And I remember somebody saying, "This has got to be the fastest get out of any artist." But it was great because I could do it. But then you realize that those were the things that you knew you could do. But as you get older, you realize that I can't do those things quite like I used to. That's the difference between being there in a situation and not being there in a situation. But I've slightly digressed a bit there. But so the book, that was my first book. And a couple of years later, so yes, I then went on to write my second book, which was called Motivated to Inspire. This book was somewhat different to the first book, obviously, but it was more of an insight into my thinking along the lines of the opinions that I managed to gain about the disease, the people who I'd met along the way who were going through a similar journey. And really just to sort of say that I started to research. This was something I hadn't even contemplated in the original days. And I started to research and learn more about what was going on with me so that I could cope with it better mentally. So this was my reasoning, behind the two books. And obviously they were there to uplift, educate those that were going through a similar journey and their loved ones too. Because there was a lot of misinformation on the internet about the disease and the outcomes. And clearly, I am somebody that had a prognosis of 6 months in 2012. Now, here I am approaching January 2021. That's 9 years later. And I'm not saying that there is no remission for me. Let's get that clear. However, my condition is being managed very well indeed. And I just look forward to the day that maybe I'll be around to see cancer has been beaten.
What inspired you to write your books? Obviously, it's part of your journey, but at the time when you first were faced with what was going on and you thought about writing it down, what did you always know that the books were going to be an outcome, or was it something to help you along the way, which then you thought, you know what, I can help others? What was your reasoning?
I think it's the latter of your statement. It was about helping others, because
Mm-hmm.
I know what I went through was horrendous. And I mean horrendous. It really was. I know I collapsed on many occasions. I had to be blue lighted into hospital. I was in absolute horrendous pain. No matter what they gave me, nothing worked. So you can imagine a continuous pain, and nothing works. It's not nice, I can tell you. And so with all of those things in mind, you go through a journey and you say to yourself, maybe I need to make more men aware of this disease, because I can tell you now, when I was told it was prostate cancer, I actually sat there for a while thinking, where the hell is my prostate? I had no understanding of where my prostate was or what it did. I certainly do now. But the point is that I found that there were many men in a similar vein that didn't know neither. And I just thought to myself, hang on, something's wrong here. And then obviously you get to talk to different people. You talk to the oncologist, the clinical nurse specialist, and you hear from them a similar pattern. Men do not want to know. Men are oblivious to what prostate cancer is. Many do not know where their prostate is. You know, you hear so many different stories and you just think, I've got to try and do something to help. And with that, that was my calling. And hence why the books came out. And hence why my journey continues with working with different cancer stakeholders, to get my story out there, and to continue to, educate and make people aware of the disease, because you'll be surprised how many people still don't know what prostate cancer is and the effects of what it can do. Because the thing is, if prostate cancer is caught early enough, it is 100% curable. And for me, as I keep saying, I was so busy making a living, I forgot how to live. I should have known better.
Mm-hmm.
You see, my mother in 1983 succumbed to breast cancer, which is linked to prostate cancer. 6 months later, her sister died of leukemia. 5 years later, their brother died of prostate cancer. So you see, I saw one side of my family wiped out because of cancer. And I knew I had to do something. And this was my way of doing something, was to write a couple of books. And I won't stop there. I've got plans for next year to, God willing, that's 10 years, there'll be a third book, and we'll take it from there. So,
What can people do who are watching this to help raise awareness of cancer, prostate cancer? What can they do?
well, there is a need by all of cancer, period. Cancer Research UK, Macmillan, Prostate Cancer UK, the Urology Foundation, ORCID for male cancer, there are just so many different organizations out there that need people's help, volunteering your time, right? Donating towards research is is paramount. When you consider we've gone through a pandemic where the charities have lost a substantial amount of donations for this year. And to be honest with you, some may not make it into 2021. There are those that will make it with adjustments. However, the point is that without the help of the public, without the intervention of those who can come in and help by, as I said, donating their time or financially putting something into one of the cancer charity boxes to help research, because it's only through research are we going to get to the bottom of solving the disease. People need to also understand cancer is over 200 different types of cancer. So you can understand the big problem that is faced. And this is what people can do. They can get themselves online and just look at the requests. Look on TV, you'll see the different ads. You'll see them requesting help, whether financially or as a volunteer, and just help. Because the way things are at the moment, we are heading to a period in time where all of us will be affected by cancer at some stage in our life, whether directly or indirectly. And I just think that you need to understand that once we get there, that means everybody in the world has been affected by cancer. That's somewhere where we really don't want to reach, but they're getting there, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I think as well, like it's important for people to remember that when you say about giving some of your time or donating some money, it's not necessarily, you don't have to give loads and loads, even if it's like 1 hour or £1, everything helps, doesn't it?
You couldn't have put it any better, Alicia. Every little helps. And for me, having been involved on a personal basis, having seen some of the work that I've been involved with, which have involved children, it's heart-wrenching. Believe me, I know I've got my battle, but when I look at a small little child who doesn't even know life, who hasn't even been introduced to life like I have, and I see what they're going through, that's brave. That is brave. That really gets to me. And that actually keeps me going. See a little child there waving, smiling, and I just think, I really know your day.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your story on today's channel. So for people who are watching this, where can they buy your books?
Right, so my book is available on Amazon. It's actually available on most good bookstores, or available from most good bookstores. But Barnes and Noble, Book Depository, you know, if you just look along Waterstones, you look on there, you'll just type in the name, author's name, which is obviously my name, and you'll come up with the 2 books. And if you buy it, thank you very much indeed. If you don't buy it, no problem. Thank you very much indeed also for looking.
Finally, I do have 10 very quick questions.
Sure.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Fire.
First question, best person you've ever worked for?
That's probably got to be Sade.
Okay. Favourite food?
Now that's a mixture, because obviously there's Caribbean, but besides the Caribbean, Italian, and, well, Italian, Korean, and Japanese.
Well, what if you had to pick one?
Oh, it's hard, but if I had to pick one, it would probably be Korean.
Okay.
Mm.
Hardest part about writing your books?
The hardest part actually was just, it wasn't the information, because the information was there in abundance. It was actually just trying to put it all together. But also, yes, the word I want to use was concentrate. Because what took me a year to write, I could have written that if I'd concentrated and been in the right frame of mind, 3-4 weeks.
Biggest life tip for anyone?
My biggest life tip would be my mantra:
Okay,
never give up, never give in.
that's a good one. I like that. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Next question, spaghetti bolognese or carbonara?
Spaghetti bolognese.
What's been your biggest achievement?
I think for me, my biggest achievement has probably been my children. Yeah, that's for me is my biggest achievement.
Staying in or going out?
It's a hard one. That in this day and age, for me, staying in.
One word that describes you?
Teddy bear.
Really?
Yeah, I do. So I've been told anyway. So
Next question, what has been your best experience?
there's just so many to choose from. I think for me, it's being part of something that is there to protect many and doing a damn fine job, you know, under some very, very heavy circumstances. Yeah, I would say that.
And final question, one goal that you want to achieve?
I've achieved so many things along my way, but I suppose the goal I want to achieve right now, if I'm being very honest, is to be a part and to see cancer being solved, but to be an integral part of that in whatever way that may be. Yeah, I think that would be it for me.
Yeah, and let's hope that does happen and we'll see that soon.
Indeed.
Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been great speaking to you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
It just goes to show the importance of research. As we heard Alf speak about, he researched about getting put onto the cancer trials, which actually saved his life. And that goes for anything in life. Whatever you do, if you put in the effort and you put in the research beforehand, you're going to get a lot better outcome than if you go into something blind and you don't know your facts. On Wednesday at 5 o'clock, I'll be back here on my channel talking to another very inspirational guest. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, comment below, let me know what you think, and don't forget to hit subscribe. See you all on Wednesday. See you later.